Good evening. We are about 1 week into 2023. I hope the year 2023 is going better for you than 2022, and I'm pretty sure it's going better for just about everybody than 2020 or 2021. What I want to talk to you today, just for a few minutes, is about a company called Twitter. Many people will be familiar with this. Twitter is useful if you know how to use it. It can provide you insight into current events. It can get you really updated information on things that are going on. However, you have to make sure that you're careful and you're only getting that from trusted sources. There is fake news out there. And there is fake news coming from every direction that you can possibly imagine. So you have to use your noodle when you're doing it. I don't need to keep these on. You have to use your noodle when you're paying attention to things on Twitter. That said, 10% or so of the population of the United States uses Twitter, according to statistics. I don't know where these 10% are because every time I ask somebody just about, they don't use Twitter. I think of all the people that I follow on Twitter, which is not very many, and I don't have very many following me. Of all those people, most of them, I don't know. I know a dozen or less personally, people that use Twitter. I know more than that said they used to use Twitter, but they don't anymore because Twitter is more like this. It's an absolute dumpster fire that makes you want to puke a whole lot of the time. If you invest time in it, you can make it useful and understand who it is that you can trust. It's got this wonderful little block function, and you can block people, but I know a lot of people have given up on it because it's just terrible. That said, it does have some usefulness. Like I said, about news, one of the more interesting things recently is that after Elon Musk acquired it, he started releasing internal communications between high-ranking members of Twitter's management and planning, their safety teams, and members of the federal government. Turns out the federal government, and some even who were only wanting to be the federal government, like the Biden campaign, was sending lots of requests to Twitter, asking Twitter to suppress the free speech, opinions, and ideas of American citizens. Or stories, Hunter Biden laptop, that they did not like, that they didn't approve. You can see these Twitter files, the FBI asked Twitter, and they set up Twitter, and it's not just Twitter. If you go through these, it's Facebook, it's Microsoft, it's Google, and other big tech companies that the government was working with to suppress their speech and to suppress opinions that they don't want you to hear because they're not approved. So what are the Twitter files? How do you find them? They're a series of tweets on Twitter. You can go, if you have a Twitter account, just search Twitter files. You know how to use it. If you don't know how to use Twitter, it can be confusing. I know when I first started, a lot of times I would get people going, who are you replying to? Because it's a microblogging site, and so you can only get little bits of information. And if you want to put a lot of information out, you have to put it in one here, one here, one here, one here. But people can respond to each one of those. And so if you're new to it or unfamiliar with it, you can kind of get lost in there. There is an app on Twitter called Threadreader app, and it does what it calls unrolls, and it will take a thread and it gets all the tweets from the author that wrote them, and it puts them in more of a traditional looking article format. The reason I'm telling you that is because over on my blog, I have a story called The Twitter Files. On the Twitter Files, I link to unrolled versions of all the Twitter file dumps. There are currently 11. I will update them as more come out, and I will also provide a brief description of what this is. 47 tweets. Twitter file, Volume 5, more coverage of the move to ban Trump from Twitter. It includes discussions showing Twitter staff in conflict, with some saying there were clearly no violations. Apparently one from China. That's an interesting one, because this staff from China had no problem saying, I know what happens when speech is suppressed, and we don't want to do that. But if you want to go in here and read the entire list of them in an easy to read format, just click the picture on there and it will take you to the unrolled version of it, where you can see them all in order. If you find one that is particularly interesting, look, there were dissenters inside Twitter. Maybe it's because I'm from China, said one employee January 7th. I deeply understand how censorship can destroy the public conversation. You can click on that within the thread that's been unrolled, and it will take you to the exact tweet where that happened. Then you can see other things about it if you care to. So, I will leave that right there. This is on my blog, like I said. I'll leave a link to it below. Please go read these. Even if you don't go to my blog, search Twitter files. The mainstream media is not covering them. The mainstream media is telling you that Elon Musk is destroying Twitter and lots of other stuff. And he may be. But if you only listen to MSNBC, NBC, CNN, Fox News, CBS, ABC, PBS, those places actively suppress stories. They just do. Doesn't matter if you like it, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter if you think I'm a Fruit Loop, because the truth is out there and it happens. Your government, and if you read these, you'll see that it comes from the left and the right. It affected the right speech, and I don't mean correct speech. I mean speech coming from the right side of the political aisle was affected more because the people that run those organizations tend to be favorable to the left. It didn't affect the right more because the right wasn't requesting it, because they did. You'll see that the Trump administration made requests that speech be suppressed. Your federal government, FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, NSA, something called the Global Engagement Center, I think, that's from the Department of State, Representative Adam Schiff, they're all in here requesting that Americans' accounts be suspended, shut down, marked down to where they're not as visible, and not just certain ideas. They did do that with ideas that they didn't want out. They did that. But they actually named specific American people that they said, we don't want their voice to be heard on this. And that should bother you, unless you're an authoritarian. That should bother you from whatever side, whatever view you look at politics. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I've been diving into them and it's concerning. I hope that you stay safe. I hope that you stay healthy, and God bless.